Given that we're both Americans in the United States, and we haven't really touched much on annihilation events that could occur for Americans, I feel like we ought to take the last few minutes maybe to discuss what you think as the biggest, or what you think are the biggest existential threats to our existence as a people right now.
Well, you can see the threat of the COVID virus killed 1 million people, we were told, out of 335 million. But the lockdown with the idea that you're going to quarantine and separate people in a sophisticated society for almost 2 years. If you look at spousal abuse, suicides, familial abuse, missed cancer screenings, drug abuse, substance abuse, paranoias, I think what that did was really scary, because I think it explained the reaction to George Floyd. I think it explained the 120 days of rioting and looting and killing in May, June, July, August of 2020. I think it had something to do with January 6th. So that's just a small thing that can happen to a society. But I guess the question is whether it's gradual or sudden. I don't think that a country can destroy us with a nuclear weapon, because we have some missile defense, not very good yet, but we have a retaliatory deterrent that stops China or Russia from doing something. So what we're more like is what happened to Rome. And it depends. I mean, Latin is not a spoken language today. The Western culture from Rome continued, but the idea of a Roman people in North Africa, in Asia Minor, in the Balkans is no longer exist. So it doesn't mean the United States is always going to be in Arizona or Maine, even if there's remnants. So what would do that? What would trigger that? We owe $35 trillion in debt, and we're spending $1 trillion every 100 days, borrowing it, printing it. And historically, when that happens, you can inflate your way out, and we have almost wrecked the economy and people's lives by increasing prices since 2020 and 30% on staples, gas, food, rent, insurance. Or you can appropriate wealth. People have talked about that, giving credit for your 401k in terms of Social Security, years of contributions. That 401k is not really yours. You didn't build it, and we'll take it and give you Social Security credit. Or we can cancel debt. Just say, you have too much money anyway. That seems preposterous, but when you see squatters and people are saying, well, you have 500 acres, if they squat on 200 acres or 2 acres, it doesn't really bother you. Or you have a 5-bedroom vacation house. If somebody uses the pool house, what do you care? So you're starting to see that incrementalism about questioning the law. The other thing that can destroy a society very quickly is the erosion of the law, or the asymmetrical practice of the law, or the application. And so I guess what I'm saying is, if you and I had gone down to San Francisco in 2014 and we would go there today, people in 2014 wouldn't have believed it. They wouldn't have believed there was a streetman on Market Street. They wouldn't believe people smash a window and walk out with Apple computers with no consequences. They wouldn't believe that there's cars with placards that say, car unlocked, nothing here, please don't take, on the streets of San Francisco. They wouldn't believe that if your car is broken into and you call the police, no one's going to come. They wouldn't believe there's actual major figures in California cultural life, San Francisco's cultural life, that say there's nothing wrong with looting, or there's nothing wrong with living on the street. So that's a sign of gradual or insidious civilizational decay. I think, and the thing to remember is you never really know what's going on when you're in the middle of it. It always requires you to stand back and say, what was life like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years ago, 50 years ago? What was the dollar worth? What was the debt per GDP? What was the GDP or the debt per GDP or the debt per population 1950 or 1960 or 1970? Did anybody ever believe that 43,000 people would be short as recruitment to the military? It's never happened before. We have the largest population in American history, and we have the largest shortfall since the Volunteer Army was formed. We're 7 years behind in javelin production. So we're giving weapons all over the world, but we're not producing them. We're just depleting our stocks on the presumption that we won't be in an existential conundrum. So there's a lot of things to see besides bioweapons or there's been reports of artificial intelligence experiments of computer simulations in the Pentagon where they will program into, say, a missile launch every single scenario that would endanger the effectiveness of it hitting the target, other missiles, weather, airplanes, shooting them down, whatever, lasers. But there was a good case, it was in Newsweek not too long ago, that they forgot about the kill button in the launcher. And they didn't realize that the artificial intelligence program was not static. It was trying to assess new data as they launched the missile, not in real terms, but on a computer. And they found out when the experiment was going to be over, the person just nonchalantly pushed the kill button, and that triggered the missile to turn around and see a threat and go right back to the person who launched it. And then they canceled the project in kind of terror of the simulation. So things like that can happen very easily. So I'm kind of worried about that, actually. If you were having a missile defense system or a nuclear deterrent and you had a sophisticated AI component without proper, and we don't know what proper oversight would be with AI. We don't know what level whether it's accruing knowledge and autonomy geometrically, arithmetically, I don't know. But there's a lot of things to see. I happen to farm as well as be a professor, and I can tell you that people walking into Whole Foods in Palo Alto and think they're going to get beautiful, affordable fruits and shiny cantaloupes and plums and peaches and asparagus, fresh, disease-free, and they have no idea exactly what is entailed about government policy to ensure water or to ensure affordable equipment or affordable fossil fuels that are essential to produce that. And should that break down, they have no idea how to feed themselves. They don't know how to. If you gave them a pig, they wouldn't know how to skin it. If you said grow some asparagus, they wouldn't know what to do. Few of them might. So all of these things, the more sophisticated and more Mycenaean we get, and knowledge is refined and distilled into a smaller and smaller governing class, the more vulnerable a society is. And it's better to be dispersed and to have knowledge and decentralized. And I don't see that happening. I see the average person getting less and less educated, and the schools dumbing down rather than trying to spread knowledge and civic education.